Hey, what it do, sports world? It's me again. The Winner Circle podcast with me, Ray Diggs, is here, y'all. Where passion meets performance and champions are made. I'm your host, Ray Diggs, bringing you the energy, the insight, and the mindset from across the world of sports. From the locker rooms to the big stage, this is where the real ones talk and legends rise, and the motto stays the same. Winners will always win. The Winner Circle podcast with me, Ray Diggs. We are here and we ain't going nowhere. Make sure y'all tune in because we're about to go live now. Peace. Hey, what it do, sports world, and welcome to the Winner Circle podcast with me, Ray Diggs. Man, hey, I'm sorry I had to come on this late, man, but y'all know, being a working man, I had to get me some rest when I got off work today, so I'm just not kind of waking up right now, but it was a long day, Wednesday, hump day. So hey, but we had to get this podcast knocked out the way. We got to talk about the college football playoffs. Y'all know what it is, man. Hey, it went down to 4 teams. Okay, on one side we got Miami, Ole Miss. The other side, we got Oregon against Indiana, 2 Big Ten teams. But before I get started, man, make sure y'all hit the like button, the subscribe button, and also the share button. And make sure y'all give me your feedback on what you all think. But hey, we're going to talk about the Miami Hurricanes against the Ole Miss Rebels. Now, this game right here is a very intriguing game. Both of these teams are not supposed to be here. Both of these teams right here, they have been, Miami barely got into the playoffs. Ole Miss lost their head coach. So they're both going through some issues. Actually, Ole Miss is going through issues. Miami, they have Mario Cristobal, their head coach, still there. Lane Kiffin left Ole Miss to go over to LSU to try to win a national championship because he said he could not win a national championship here at Ole Miss. But here we're talking about Ole Miss getting ready for a chance to possibly play for a national championship. So clearly Ole Miss can possibly win a national championship with Lane Kiffin. But this game right here is a battle between an explosive offense of Trinidad Chandler's, the kid that came from Division II, Ferris State. Now he's making plays against Georgia. He's making plays against the top teams in all of college football. Then on the other side, you have a very veteran quarterback in Carson Beck. He came from Georgia, the Georgia transfer. He don't have to do a lot because he got a big physical run game. He probably have the best offensive line in all of college football. Then he have a hell of a running back there in Fletcher. He have the kid out there on the outside. Joe, he have a plethora of receivers actually. But the true freshman is the one that everybody knows about. This game right here, Ole Miss, these two teams, neither Ole Miss or Miami has won a championship in decades. Okay, as we can remember back to Miami's last national championship, which was 2001. Ole Miss, you got to go back to 1962. It's the last time that they won a national championship. And when you look at both of these teams, the Miami strength, Miami has one of the most elite defenses. Their defenses has pretty much shut down their last 2 opponents in the college football playoffs, and one of them being the most explosive team. And a lot of people say one of the most explosive offenses in college football, which was Ohio State and Jeremiah Smith and Julian Sayans. Okay, and the turnover margin advantage, forcing mistakes, is what Miami normally does. They have a balanced offensive game. They know what to do. This right here is going to be a game that I feel like if Miami defensive line can dominate, which I don't know if Miami's defensive line can dominate this with Baines. Baines is probably going to be a top 3-4 pick in this upcoming draft. But if they can dominate, but the one thing that Ole Miss does on the offensive side that's going to make it difficult is that they love the quick throws. So it kind of makes it impossible for your defensive line to dominate the game. Not saying that Miami can't, because they still can dominate the game. But Ole Miss offense is very different, and it makes it hard for any defensive line, including Georgia's defensive line, to dominate them. And their offensive line shifts from side to side very good. So if Ole Miss can come out there and hit the quick throws and get the ball down the field moving, and another thing about Ole Miss offense is when they get to moving, they are very quick offense. Will that wear down this elite Miami Hurricanes defensive line. Now, Miami, they rotate pretty good, but Bangs is the dominant guy. He's the guy. So if they can pretty much get out and get to hitting some of these quick throws, it can make it very uncomfortable for this Miami Hurricanes defensive line. It'll probably make it impossible for them to even dominate this game, especially once Ole Miss get to going with Keywan Lacey in that run game. It can make it very uncomfortable. But this thing is going to come down to Ole Miss's offensive line versus Miami's defensive line. The only thing about it is Miami got a hell of a defensive line as well. So when you look at both of these teams, you have to look at it as in both of these teams are built for this game right here. You have game right here is going to be built. These two teams are built for this game right here. Okay, like I said before, and I'm not saying that Ole Miss got a great defensive line, but they got a very capable defensive line. Okay, and like I said, Ole Miss is riding high. They just coming off the win against a team that a lot of people didn't think nobody could beat, and a team that was pretty much picked to win the national championship, which was the Georgia Bulldogs. So if you can beat them, then you can damn sure beat the Miami Hurricanes. Now, Trinidad Chandler is going to be who I think is going to pretty much the weight if he gets to moving around and being elusive as a quarterback, meaning extending plays. This game right here can possibly shift over to the Ole Miss side. I think Ole Miss can possibly win that game if he does those things. But when you look at the Miami Hurricanes, they have Fletcher at the running back, Malachi Tony. Malachi Tony can be somebody that I feel like can make a big play in the fourth quarter, make a big receive, maybe like what he did in the last game against Ohio State, maybe make a jet sweep, a big play, a jet sweep, maybe a punt return, okay, or being Malachi Tony, making a 10-yard catch and turn it into a 40-yard touchdown. That is what he can do. Also, Miami has Josiah Trader. They got Josiah Trader. A lot of people don't know nothing about Josiah Trader. JoJo Trader was one of the best wide receivers in high school when he got ready to come out. He's been hurt a lot, but the kid can play. I look forward to him, Malachi Tony, and CJ Daniels to have big games. I can especially against Ole Miss. Ole Miss don't have, I'm not saying they have a terrible secondary, because their secondary is not terrible, but their secondary is beatable. And I think with three playmakers, the way Miami has, I think they can exploit that Ole Miss defense, that secondary. And like I said, Malachi Tony and Josiah and JoJo Trader, they are just difference maker. And I think that CJ Daniels can make a big catch down the middle, a one-hand catch that can change the game. But when I look at Ole Miss got Keywan Lacey, they got Trinidad Chandler, they got Watkins, they got a plethora of receivers themselves. They got very capable wide receivers that can make it very uncomfortable for Miami's defense, and especially if they can get their tight ends involved, because that's the one thing that Ole Miss does better than a lot of teams, is that they love to use their tight ends. And with Charlie Weiss Jr. calling the plays, I think that right there was very pivotal for this Ole Miss team. It's for Charlie Weiss, the offensive coordinator, that's already gone over to LSU. He's back and forth. He's playing both sides, but to come back and coach this Ole Miss team in the semifinals. That is why I'm giving this team right here. This game right here is a 50-50 game. This is one of those games. This game right here, I would say both of the semifinals games is a 50-50, but this game right here is a 50-50 type of game. I think neither of these teams have a clear advantage over the other. So when you look at both of these teams, it's going to come down to execution. Can Carson Beck make a big play down the field? Can he do what he hasn't really done in the playoffs, because the run game has pretty much carried them? But if they call upon Carson Beck to make a big throw in the fourth quarter, which if you look at my social media, I was begging him to do in the last game, man, Carson Beck has to make a play. That's what I said. I said Carson Beck has to make a play to pretty much change the dynamic of this game. He didn't have to do that because Mark Fletcher broke out for a long run, and then that pretty much changed the dynamic of the game. I think it's going to come down to this game right here. It's going to come down to, will Carson Beck be able to make a throw in the fourth quarter to possibly win the game? I think this game is going to be close. I can see this game being maybe a 7-point game. I can see Miami winning this game 38-31, but I can also see Ole Miss winning this game 38-31. But I'm gonna go with the score of 38-35. I gotta stick with the SEC. I gotta stick with Ole Miss to win this game, even though I'm a little worried because their coaches are playing both sides, because they're going back and forth. It had caught up to them at this point, but it has to catch up. I mean, y'all, it has to catch up. That's what we're saying as fans. This has to catch up to these coaches playing, traveling back and forth, and maybe this is the game that it would possibly catch up. But I'm gonna go with the SEC team in this one. I got to stick with my home heart. I'm gonna go with Ole Miss 38-35. I think they'll keep it. I think that it's gonna be a hell of a game all the way out, and I think that somehow they'll possibly get the ball last, take the ball down the field, and they will kick a game-winning field goal to win this game. And like I said before, Ole Miss, they're going to have to strike quick. It's going to be, like I said, they're going to have to keep Miami's defense quick strike. They're going to keep their offense as a quick strike offense. They're going to have to make Miami's defense keep them off balance all night. And when I say off balance, I mean that defensive line. They have some very capable linebackers as well, but it's the defensive line that makes that Miami team roll. And it's the same thing on the offensive side. Their offensive line is dominant. And I think that if they can do this right here, like I said, I think Ole Miss can win this game and advance to the national championship. But Miami is a very capable team. I like Miami. Both of these teams are hungry. Both of these teams hadn't won a championship in a long time. This right here, a game. I think this game right here could possibly still. It's going to be tomorrow night. It's going to be tomorrow night. As y'all know, I don't know what channel it's on. I have to check and see. But the game is tomorrow night, so it's going to be a hell of a game, y'all. So make sure y'all tune in for the Miami Hurricanes and the Ole Miss Rebels. And then we have Oregon versus Indiana. Oregon is number 5. Indiana is number 1. Indiana's been the best team in the nation all season. They came out here, they dominated Alabama, beating Alabama 38-3. But then you seen on the other side, you saw Oregon dominate Texas Tech. Now, which team is better? I don't know. I can't say because Alabama has been, they've been fluke the last few weeks. So, but Texas Tech has been rolling. They beat BYU twice. They won the Big 12 easily. And for Oregon to come out there and dominate them the way they did, it says a lot about Oregon. Even though I think they left a lot of offensive plays on the field, I think that the score was 23-0. I think the score could have easily been 38-0 if they did not leave all those plays on the field. Now I'm hearing reports that Davidson, the star running back for Oregon, he's out. I don't know. It hadn't been confirmed. It hadn't been on breaking news. I have to look it up. But if he is out, that can be a problem because he is their bell cow back. He is the true freshman running back. And I think that if you have him, you can possibly wear down a little bit of this wear down. He can take a lot of the weight off of Dante Moore in that run game. But Dante Moore is going to have to be the guy to win this game. He's going to have to be the guy that don't leave plays on the field. And I go back to the first matchup. I went back and I watched it again. And Dante Moore left a lot of plays on the field. They left a lot of plays. They was at the red zone 4 times and did not come away with nothing. And you lose the game 30-20. I think that if you put at least 2 of those in the end zone, you can easily win this game going away. And it was a lot that went on in the game. It was a rainy game, but it ain't no excuse when it's in football. There's no excuses. Oregon capitalized. They won the game going away. The game was tied up in the fourth quarter. If y'all go back and watch the game was actually tied up in the fourth quarter. Indiana made plays down the stretch. They game dominated the fourth quarter, and that's how they ended up winning the game by 10. But that game was way closer than the score indicates. But this is a different Indiana team than played in that game. And also this team is battle tested. This Indiana team is battle tested. They went on the road. They went on the road to Alston Stadium and beat Oregon. They went to the Big Ten championship and beat Ohio State. They dominated Alabama in their first playoff game. So this team is battle tested. And Kirk Cinetti, the best coach in all of college football, I think. Well, I would probably say that Kirby Smart, but Cinetti is right there with him. His team takes his mentality. He knows who to recruit. He got a team behind him that goes out there. They don't talk that much and they just dominate. Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner, is that quarterback. This dude right here, he earned my respect in this last game against Alabama. He made the throws. He did everything. After that first drive, the kid looked like a Heisman Trophy quarterback because every time that Indiana needed a play, guess what? This kid made it, whether it was with his arms or whether it was his legs. And I think that's what he's going to have to do against Oregon. Now, Oregon is a different team as well. Oregon, they got a very young secondary, so Indiana can possibly exploit that young secondary, even though that young secondary dominated Texas Tech, but they're still young. They're still true freshmen. They don't know what they don't know. But one thing I can say about young players is this: when you don't know, then you don't know that you're supposed to be making two interceptions and a fumble in a college football playoff game. You just here playing football. And these young cornerbacks, I think they're growing up before our very eyes down there at Oregon. And Finney Jr., this kid right here is a playmaker. He's a baller. I think that if they can get this secondary together and control the passing game and make Indiana one dimension, which nobody has been able to do all season, I think that Oregon can win this game. It's going to be a hard game to win because this team right here has been the best team in all of college football. And you just thinking back like, damn, they got to have a bad game. Well, they have had a bad game. They didn't lose it, but they had a bad game. They had a bad game against Penn State. They didn't have a good game against Iowa, but they win those bad games. And this is what I would call a championship team, because when you can have a bad game and you still can win the game, that is what you call battle-tested championship. That's a championship caliber team, and it all starts with Kirk Cinetti. This man right here is a hell of a coach. He's come from the Nick Saban tree. A lot of people keep saying that he can be the next Nick Saban, and I can damn sure see it because, like I said, after that first drive, he and his team dominated Alabama for the next 3 quarters. I'm talking about total domination. And at the end of the game, I honestly think they possibly could have put up 1 or 2 more touchdowns to make the score even worse. But I think he just called the dogs in the 4th quarter and just said, you know what, 38 points is enough. Let's wait till next week. Oregon comes in. They have a very good defense. I mean, a very good head coach as well. Dan Lanning is a hell of a coach. Somebody asked me today, they said, man, do you think Dan Lanning is on the hot seat? I said, listen, let me tell you something. Oregon has never won a national championship. Y'all can look this back. He said they ain't never won a national championship. I said, no, Oregon has never won a national championship. They went to a couple national championships, but they've never won one. They lost to Oregon. I mean, they lost to I think Ohio State. Then they lost to Auburn, but they've never won one. I said the closest that they've been to winning a college football playoff with the 12-man playoff in a very hell in history. So he can never. I don't think Dan Lanning is going to be on a hot seat. Yes, they have invested a lot of money in this team, but everybody know they're playing against Indiana. Indiana's a hell of a team. It ain't no shame losing to Indiana because guess what? Indiana is a very well-coached team. They're a very good team. They've been the best team all season. That's why they're 14, 15, and 0. So this team right here, but Oregon has all the ingredients to beat them. They have the run game. They got the passing game. They got my boy out there, wide receiver, Decorian Moore, the best freshman wide receiver in all of college football. Yeah, he is. But that kid there is the playmaker. And if they can get him involved, get him out there in spaces against Indiana's very good cornerbacks, I think that this game right here can put some pressure on Indiana that nobody has done really all season. And this game right here could possibly come down to the 4th quarter. And who have the ball last? Dante Moore has to take care of the ball. This is the game where it's between 2 quarterbacks, Dante Moore and Fernando Mendoza, the number 1 pick and the number 2 pick in a lot of people mock draft, include mine. If Dante Moore can come out here and outplay Fernando Mendoza, he can possibly steal that #1 pick. If y'all go back to a few years ago when CJ Stroud was in the college, was in the playoffs, and he played against Georgia and he lit it up. Guess what? In that draft, he was the #1 pick. So Dante Moore, even though I feel like, in my own opinion, I feel like Dante Moore should go back to school for another year because I think that he's just young right now. He have a lot of growing to do. And I think that honestly, he can be a top 5 pick next season as well. And I think Oregon would be a national championship team again next season. So, and he's only 20 years old. Um, and a lot of people keep saying, yeah, if he the #2 pick, why not go to the draft? Because you can make $5-10 million in college football right now. So I could come back to school, make $10 million at Oregon. I got all the nice gear. I got the Nike. He probably even got a Nike contract. Come back to school next year, possibly be up in the contender for a Heisman, maybe be in contention for a national championship again, and still possibly be a top 5 pick. And next season, I think it's going to be one of the best quarterback drafts that in a very long time since the Drake May, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, and Jaden Daniels draft. I think that it's going to be that type of draft next season with quarterbacks. But I mean, a lot of people keep saying, if you're going to be the #2 pick, why not come out now? And I understand that as well. But it's going to be Fernando Mendoza against Dante Moore. I think that Fernando Mendoza, being that his defense is so damn good, he can possibly make mistakes and they can still be good. I don't know if Dante Moore can make mistakes. I think he's going to have a flawless game. I think he's going to have to ball out to his receivers. And what I'm hearing from reports is that all his receivers is pretty much back healthy. Evan Stewart, I don't think Evan Stewart is going to come back this season. And if a lot of people don't know, man, Evan Stewart was one of the best wide receivers coming out of high school. He was one of the best wide receivers in college football when he played at Texas A&M. This right here was his first year at Oregon when he tore his ACL in the spring. So I feel like, if they had him, this offense would be even more explosive. But he's not. I don't know if he's playing because he didn't play the last game. But you still got DeCorian Moore. You still got Bryant. You still got those tight ends. You still got a plethora of running backs. And then you got Dante Moore, even though I don't feel like Dante Moore runs enough. But this right here might be the game where he have to run more. He might have to make it uncomfortable for the Indiana defense. And that Indiana have a very good defense, a very good defensive line. But like I said before, Oregon have a very good defensive line as well. They got some of the best defensive linemen that I've seen. And they got some very capable linebackers. So it's going to be Indiana's balanced offense versus Oregon's front. Oregon's pass rush, and then it's going to be Oregon's pass rush versus Indiana's quarterback. The rematch adjustments. Oregon knows how he lost the game. Coaching adjustment will be the key. That's the same thing I just said. They know how they lost the first game. I think that Dan Lanning won't let it happen in the second game. Even though I feel like Indiana is the best team in college football, but the best team don't always win. The best team don't always win the championship. Because you can say that Ohio State was honestly the most talented team in college football. Guess what? They got beat the first game that they played. How Indiana can win this game, they try to control possession, win in the trenches, and lean on the defense, force critical punts and turnovers. That's right there what I was saying at first. That's what I think that's a good way for Indiana to win. It's by forcing Dante Moore into some illegitimate bad throws. And the thing about this is Dante Moore will make those throws. Think about against JMU, he threw 2 picks. Think about against the last game against Texas Tech. They punted so many times. They gave the ball to Texas Tech. Texas Tech defense, Texas Tech offense just couldn't get going. I don't think Indiana offense is going to be like Texas Tech offense. You continue to punt to Texas. You continue to punt to Indiana. I think you can get blown out this game. Like, I don't think it'll be a blowout, but honestly, you're not going to be able to do what you did against Texas Tech against this team. How Oregon can win. They got to force explosive plays on offense, generate pressure on Indiana's quarterback, and control field position. That's basically what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to control field position. And then when they get in the red zone, they're going to have to capitalize. I ain't saying about no field goals. They're going to have to put touchdowns on the thing. Because I'd say if this game is close, I think that if Indiana can come out here And if they can slow down Dante Moore, they can win this game. I honestly think that I think that Oregon have to stop Fernando Mendoza because I don't think they're going to be able to. Indiana have a very good run game. Their run game is good, even though I think Oregon got a run game. They got a really good run game as well. I expect this rematch to be a chess match with strategic adjustments from both staffs. I think that this right here is going to be a very, very close game as well. I think both of these games are going to be close, but I'm going to go. I think Oregon will win the rematch. And the only reason why I'm going with Oregon is because I think that it's hard to beat a team 2 times. The teams that's played in the playoffs that played in a rematch, there are 4-1. They won 4 of the last 5 games. And I think that this right here would be one of those games. I think that Indiana, they are the better team. They are the better team. But like I said, the better team don't always win. I'm going to go with Oregon to win this game, and I'm going to go with a more traditional score. I think it'll be 31-28. Oregon, I think they'll somehow, some way muster up 31 points to win this game here. And I'm going to go with Ole Miss and Oregon for the national championship. And like I said before, when you look at these teams right here, when you look at the defensive strength, Miami versus Ole Miss, Miami clearly. Ole Miss on the offense, Ole Miss. Same thing when it comes down to Oregon, Indiana. When you look at the defensive strengths, you got Indiana. You got the offensive strength, it's Oregon. So it's offense versus defense. And I went against my better judgment because normally defense beats over offense. But we saw against Ole Miss, against Georgia, that offense just was able to control the game. And Ole Miss offense, Ole Miss's defense is very capable of slowing down Miami. I'm not saying they will, but they are very capable. And like I said, these 2 games right here are very 2 hard games to pick. And I was listening to somebody talk today. I just want to say this. I'm happy that now we have new faces in college football, in the college football playoffs. What I mean by that is this. Did you all know that over the last 20, 25 years, it was only Miami, LSU, Alabama, Ohio State, Auburn won a national championship, Florida won a couple national championships, Georgia, but those are really the only teams that you see in the college football. Notre Dame made it, but those are the only teams that you honestly that made consistent national college football playoffs. 4 teams, 2 teams. It didn't matter. It was basically those teams every single year. For us to see, the Ole Miss Rebels. Think about it, y'all. Miami back in the college football playoff. Indiana, a team that's never done it, and Oregon, a team that's been here a few years ago. We happen to see them back on top of the mountain as well. But hey, man, like I said before, man, those are going to be my scores. I think that Ole Miss, they'll block out the distraction, and they'll even stick it to Lane Kiffin even more by getting to the national championship. Because like I said before, Lane Kiffin didn't think he could get to the national championship with Ole Miss. And I think that he made a mistake. Like I said before, I think that he made a big mistake by going to LSU. I think that Ole Miss would have given him anything. Pete Golden now, I think Pete Golden, he's bringing in the right person. And I'm going to say this right here before I get off here. I think if I'm Charlie Weis Jr., why not stay at Ole Miss? Why not stay? Why follow Lane Kiffin? You see that you really don't need him to pretty much, like, you won 2 games in the college football playoffs, and one of them was against Kirby Smart in Georgia. Why not stay at Ole Miss? Call plays there. I think that you have a defensive, you basically, your head coach is a defensive coach. So I think that he would give Charlie Weis Jr. full control of the offense. Why not stay at Ole Miss instead of going to LSU, being in Lane Kiffin's shadow still? Why not stay here and establish your own shadow? Establish your own name. And I think that if he came back to Ole Miss with Trinidad Chandler, who said he would be coming back, and I want to say this to the NCAA. The NCAA is full of shit. I'm going to say it. Y'all are full of BS. Because Trinidad Chandler is still waiting for you all to give him a medical red shirt year, which his medical red shirt year is legit. He ain't like TJ Finley, who's been in college for 7 years, and y'all continue to give him waivers. Y'all, it seems like y'all give him waivers faster than y'all give anybody waivers. So NCAA, get off y'all ass and go out here and get this kid his final year of college. Because at the end of the day, he did not play his sophomore year. He showed you all the paperwork to say that he did not play because he was having issues with his body. And y'all are sitting on y'all ass and don't want to give this man his last year. And if it was anybody else like TJ Finley, who's transferred from everywhere in college football, this man done went to from this college. This man played at Texas State. Think about that. And y'all continue to give him year after year after year a waiver. But y'all want to sit here and drag your feet when it comes to somebody that actually deserve another year of college eligibility. So get your ass up off y'all butts. And that's the reason why everybody hate the NCAA now. Because y'all always, it seems like y'all, yeah, bro, is that, bro, Arsenio, bro, exactly. TJ Finley still in school, bro. He's still in school. He just transferred in this season. This off season right here, TJ Finley is, let me see where he's at right now. TJ Finley is still in college right now. I ain't never seen nobody been in college this long. Yep, TJ Finley, he just transferred to where he's at now. This man right here been in college longer than anybody I've ever seen. December the 15th, he announced that he was into the transfer portal. And now he is, where's TJ Finley? But yeah, he's still in college again. He have another year of eligibility. Like, who the hell stay in college this long? Oh yeah, he's at Georgia State. He's at Georgia State now. Come on, bro. Bro, it's over with, bro. Just go ahead and go and do what you're gonna do next, bro. It's okay. It's cool. Yep, it said on December 15th, Finley entered transfer portal for the 6th time. Now y'all gonna tell me this man still got his eligibility, and y'all sitting there talking about Trinidad Chandler, who went to Ferris State for 2 years. He was at another school for a year, and he did not play. And then you're gonna tell me that this man right here is still getting college eligibility. He's fighting for another year, and y'all continue to get him medical red shirt year after year after year. But y'all want to drag your feet because y'all know why? Y'all gonna fuck this kid over. Because what's gonna happen is this kid right here is gonna they're gonna end up declining this kid his last year eligibility. I'm hoping that I'm wrong. I'm hoping and praying that I'm wrong, because he deserved his last year. And then they're gonna force this kid to be scrambling to get ready for the NFL draft, in which I think that if he came out this year, Trinidad Challenge could possibly be the third quarterback taken in the NFL draft. Yes, I would put him over. I would take him over Ty Simpson. I would take him. And if he came back another year, he would definitely put himself in position. But go back to what I was saying. I think that White Jr. should stay at Ole Miss. If he got Trinidad Chandler, if he got Winston Watson, if he got Keywan Lacey and the rest of those weapons out there at wide receiver, scribbling, if he got the rest of those weapons out there at wide receiver, I would stay there at Ole Miss, call plays, and establish my own name instead of going to LSU. But I can't knock a man for going for the money, because if y'all don't know, Charlie White Jr. is the highest paid offensive assistant in all of college football. This man makes more money than head coaches at some schools. This dude got a contract. Let me just make sure, because I don't want to give y'all the wrong information. But if I'm not mistaken, Charlie Weiss is making over $5 million as an assistant. Let me see. Oh no, his annual salary is almost $3 million. No, he have a $7 million deal through $7.5 million deal through 2028. So he make 2.5 million. He on a 3-year, $7.5 million contract. Think about that. A $7 million contract as an assistant, as an offensive coordinator. You make almost $3 million with incentives as an offensive coordinator. And you got some coaches that ain't even making that. I ain't talking about at these big schools like Georgia, Alabama, but at some of these other schools, you got head coaches that ain't even been making $3 million, and LSU paying him $3 million. If I was Ole Miss, I would go in there and I would talk to him and be like, listen, we'll give you $3 million. If LSU give you 2.5, we'll give you 3 million. And for you to be our offensive coordinator. And if I were Charlie Weiss, I'll take that opportunity because that's what it is. It's an opportunity. But like I said before, man, I think this right here is gonna be some hell of a games, y'all. This is gonna be a hell of a college football playoff. 4 teams that deserve to be here, 4 teams that is preparing to win the national championship. All 4 of these teams can win the national championship, but only one team can win this championship. And like I said before, I think it's going to be Ole Miss, and I think it's going to be Oregon that plays for the national championship. Now, don't quote me because I was wrong last week on a lot of games. But a lot of those games I went with my heart instead of going with just common sense. Um, but yeah, man, make sure y'all tune in, man. Thank y'all again. I'm sorry I came on late. I would call this the nightcap. Hey man, I thank you again, bro. Man, I appreciate you, bro, for coming on, man. But yeah, man, TJ Finley still in college, man. And like I said before, until next time, man, y'all have a great week. College football playoffs is tomorrow. Let me get that game for y'all, man. For the people that want to watch it, y'all can go on, you can pretty much look it up, but I'll look it up for y'all, man. I'll just let y'all know before I get off here. So tomorrow's game is at 6:30, is on ESPN. And that right there would be Ole Miss against Miami. And then on Friday, we will have Oregon. We will have Oregon against. Yep, on Friday we will have Oregon against Indiana, a Big Ten, all Big Ten showdown. But hey, man, thank y'all again, man, for staying up with me, man. I apologize for coming on so late. But hey, like I said before, man, better late. I had to get it out the way because the college football playoffs is tomorrow. And man, I just had a long day. But until next time, man, thank y'all again for listening to the Winner Circle podcast with me, Ray Diggs. Here I got some time now. So, hey, I will be coming out with the podcast talking about the NFL playoffs. Most likely it's going to be Friday. And then also we're going to talk about the NBA a little bit, college basketball a little bit as well. So make sure y'all tune in, man. And hey, thank y'all again for listening to another great set of the Winner Circle podcast with me, Ray. Until next time, y'all have a great Wednesday night. Peace.
Mr. Diggs, we're on in 5. Vegas can't be choosers, but grandma chose grace. She raised me on scraps.